Good afternoon, Jacques DeBose here with Workforce of the Future podcast. I'm here with my friend Craig Davies, who's joining us today, here to talk about marketing and AI and how that can impact your workforce and your marketing and your business. Welcome, Craig.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
The way I'd like to start out today, I know we've met and we've hung out some time and had some coffees, but just a little bit of kind of a get to know you, Craig, what Craig is about, your background and how you fell into this AI and marketing space and being the tech guy that you are.
Yeah, of course. No, more than happy to. Well, falling into it is exactly that. I'm curious by nature. I finished 10 years in the military in 2022, and then I moved over here to Texas, and my background's in signals, which is telecommunications and electronic warfare in the army sense, and just curious by nature. Anything that we can't see on radio and Wi-Fi and things like just nerd. Let's just pin it in as nerd. But I came over here, and it was right at the time when OpenAI just came out of nowhere. I'm not sure if you remember.
Yes.
Like there was a couple months before it really became viable for everybody to just get an account. And I have to give credit to my wife because she's the real trendsetter. Because she saw it first and said, let me try this. And me, my military background was like, let's just hold off on that first because that looks like we're putting a lot of data in, a lot of things we don't quite know. And she's like, no, look at what it can do. And I was like, oh my goodness,
nice. Look
at this. This changes everything. And from there, I really just fell into it. I started to understand it. I used it. I'm a daily user of AI in every sense of the matter, which lets me talk about a lot more of the other sides of AI, like the creative element, the business element, the personal element. I know we're here to talk about the business, and I'm excited to talk more about that, but that's when I started freelancing and helping out local businesses.
Okay.
That may be behind the curve, and that's how we bumped into each other at a local mixer with businesses, because that's where my services assist businesses that can really use AI to improve their quality of life. It's not just business.
Right, fantastic. So share a little bit more about how you're, with the name of your business and how you incorporate or work with AI when you're working with a client or a small business owner that's just way behind the curve, getting them on board with AI.
Of course. Well, the name is Davies Digital Solutions. It's very original. It's my name, and I offer digital solutions.
Nice.
But I work on a modular level with the business. So it's almost bespoke and personal to the business, because every single business is different. They all have different goals. They have different understanding. And just going in and mentioning AI, they may have, and often do, have preconceptions about AI. And right now it's quite scary because it's new. And that's just a regular human reaction to anything that's new. It's preconceived to be taking our jobs and going to be replaced, and the short answer is no. No, it's not. People still crave human interaction, which is what a business is. At the core of every business is people, and we still need people. So I work modular with them to understand their business and understand where the bottlenecks are in their pipeline. If it's marketing, we can do small changes in the background that can help the marketing pipeline. If it's sales, same. If it's recruiting, if it's something as simple as research, which every week, month can take up some time, something like that. So it's just modular, and we just bolt on from there.
So, for example, say I come to you as a prospective client, and I want more exposure for my business. I want marketing. I want to get more views on my website. One thing that Mix Consulting is doing with another partners, we're doing this Nexus Workforce of the Future Expo. So if I were to say, hey, Craig, how can Davies Digital Solutions help me get more exposure, get more eyes on it, and most importantly, get people to register to come and also be exhibitors and sponsors?
Yeah, of course. So what we would do, we would understand what's already working and try and optimize that. And if not, that's when you start exploring the other avenues. But what I usually find is that something that's already in place just needs tweaking and optimizing.
Okay.
And there's always an element of AI or just marketing principles that can always just amplify that a little bit more. So I always like to work with the business before I go in and say, no, let's do this instead.
Sure.
Because it's almost like you're almost wanting to do your own thing, your own service, rather than working with a business. So let's say more traffic and ultimately more conversions, which is what you said there. So you would look at where the original traffic's coming from. If it's just general searches, then it's really difficult to do that, because that's a very specific search for somebody to look for the Nexus Expo in La Cantera in August for that. And you're going to usually have those decision makers doing that search. And that audience rarely have the time in the evenings. I'm sure those decision makers at that C-suite level are Googling things to look for to do. I'm pretty sure they come to them rather than them looking out.
Yeah, so somebody's bringing something to them.
Somebody's always bringing
that idea, this opportunity
to them, rather than them searching for it, because it's just their time. They're time poor because they're decision makers like that. So you can use AI to find those people a lot easier. It doesn't sound as creepy as it sounds, like, to find people using AI.
Yes.
It's just the methods that are already there just being sped up by using optimization. So
fantastic. Yeah, that's definitely what we want to do, and we want to talk about and learn more from. And the reason that Mix Consulting came together, and now Nexus Enterprises International and Discovery Global Travel, is we saw a need, and we had people asking us, we struggle to find employees, qualified employees. We struggle to retain good employees. Some of these spots, we need bodies in an office. We need bodies at the workshop, on the work site.
Okay.
But others, they could be a virtual person coming in. It could be somebody in South Africa, somebody in Costa Rica, Belize. I mean, you name it, where they can come in and support and actually be an extension of this business, represent the business, do a lot of the work for them. So with our workforce, it's coming up, and it's August 25th through the 27th. 25th and 26th are the main days of that event here in San Antonio. And we've got some great speakers lined up. We've got businesses from the Texas Triangle, which you look at, Dallas up here, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. That's where the majority of our businesses are located, a lot of our population, and also many headquarters for businesses. So we're focusing on that because there is a need and a pain point with businesses to, again, retain and find qualified people. A lot of folks say just, people that they find, they really aren't wanting to work as much, or they're looking at other things, and we know COVID changed the dynamics on a lot of things, but now we're past that. And so Nexus Workforce, the Future Expo, we're looking for solutions, not excuses. And I think your background, the experience you have as a veteran and your technology background can greatly add to that and be a resource to people. And I'm glad you're going to be at our event as well, so thanks for saying yes to that. But what kind of scope do you think, as far as finding employees? How does a business go out there and use AI, incorporate that, especially the small and medium businesses that don't have a huge HR team, but they have maybe one or two, or one person that's wearing a couple hats, right? How do they incorporate AI so that they can find, qualified candidates that want to work and make a difference and earn a good wage?
Yeah, of course. And those are the real questions, because you look at those 1 to 2 people teams, and you're right, like, they have a hat collection. It is every single time. They push a button and it's sales, they push a button, it's HR, push a button, it's finance and legal.
Right.
We've all been there. So it's understanding at that level what they're going through. But what everybody now has access to, regardless of business or personal, is you all have a personal assistant in AI. And it's only going to be as good as the person using it or programming it.
Sure.
Think about it as your own intern. When they come in, they're wanting to learn.
Okay.
They're wanting to do the job, and they're wanting to get the experience.
Sure.
But they're always looking up to somebody. And that's what that HR person in that small to medium-sized business is now doing. You can now ask it questions that in turn are going to provide you with better copy for email, better job descriptions, the keywords that people are looking for in that area. So things that you wouldn't even have time to research yourself. Again, research is a huge element of this AI.
Yeah. It's very time intensive.
It's
you're doing that on your own.
Because you're screening yourself, you're analyzing, you're evaluating.
Right.
And what AI can now do is very efficient sentiment analysis and give executive summaries. So you can turn that one person HR team into the chief personnel officer.
Sure.
Instead of a manager, you're now a CPO, because you've now you're optimizing and using AI to your advantage. And we can go into agents and things like that, which is what I like working with businesses, and it's basically creating online versions of certain personas that perform certain jobs.
Yeah, let's explore that a
Yeah,
little
of
more.
course.
Help educate me, because
of course.
that's not my area of expertise at all,
Yeah.
which is why you're here today.
Right.
So.
And if at any point any of this becomes jargon, please just jump in and I'll try and explain things a little better. I know I can ramble because I enjoy this topic, business and
Right.
tech, so I can talk for days. But if at any point I lose, please just jump in and
certainly.
let me do that. So, of course, AI agents. So this is, again, when I said right at the beginning, overwhelming people about the options, the endless options about AI, is what often scares people. Because when you tell them, oh, it can do this job, everybody gets fearful and go, oh, that's my job.
Right.
No, I don't want to use that. But on the other hand to that is to use that as a tool. It is only ever used as a tool. And if you use these tools, it makes you better.
Okay.
Because you start solving bigger problems, and that's what business is like. The bigger problems that you solve, the more valuable you are to a business or a company, even if you're the owner or an employee.
Right.
So these agents, in a nutshell, can be predefined or programmed. I don't want to use two big words. Programmed is just a posh word for you've set it up, and can be predefined to perform certain roles. So if you have a agent that's looking for all the research, the recent sentiment about jobs in San Antonio, the recent reports, it can go and scrape the online web for that research, and it can return it in 10 minutes. There's some incredible tools out there, like Perplexity is a personal favorite that I don't, no shade to Google, I know they're making spaces, but I use Perplexity now for research, and OpenAI for copy.
Sure.
And evaluating and sentiment analysis and things. But Perplexity can go and get that research in 10 minutes. And whilst it's doing that, what are you doing? You're doing another task. So you're almost optimizing yourself.
Right.
Because you're making more copies of yourself. Like you have five fingers, excuse the thumb, 5 fingers on one hand, and you can tell this little finger to go and do something, this finger to do, and it's still the same hand. They're all just doing different tasks. And it doesn't stop there. But that's just a broad brush of what can be done. So for example, that agent could then pass the research data onto another agent that you've set up to summarize, and based on a certain criteria, if this, then that, the basis of automation, go and do this task. And that could be social media posts. That could be, based on this research, create a post that does this and advertises our job post, and things like it's truly only limited to your imagination right now, and that's where people are being really creative in their own AI element, which is counterintuitive because everyone thinks AI is taking creativity away, but in itself, I'm a big fan of Rick Rubin, a music producer, and he says, everything you do is creative in that sense.
I agree.
So,
yeah. Back to Perplexity. So, for those that are perplexed by what that is, or don't know, can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. It's a search engine that is being powered by AI, and it's disrupting the typical search of Google, which is you would search for, or any search engine, for that matter, you would put in a search term and Google is going to give you what it thinks you're looking for. And that's not always correct.
Right.
Whereas AI is understanding sentiment much better than the current search engines.
Sure.
So you're getting the results much better.
Is that a subscription-based service, or can anybody use it? How does that
There
work?
is a free version, and then there is something for, I think it's currently $20 a month, $19.99. And you can use pro searches. Is there a version of? They use more sources, but they all cite their sources. That's the key thing. So a lot of AIs, they just return the answer, but they don't give their sources or
so you
cite
don't know where it came from.
Yes, and Perplexity is very good at footnoting its sources, which I like, because then you can go into that source and see its credibility and things like that. So,
Sure.
and I think that bleeds into the retention element that these businesses are sometimes having, is if companies are not empowering their BPOs or their employees, it goes just across the board, it doesn't
Sure.
matter whether it's a BPO or an employee, then they always feel as though they're trying to make up. And these tools such as AI can be used, and I can give specific examples or just as a general. And I understand that there's some privacy about AI. Don't put everything into there.
Sure.
That's the thing, because and that's what these contracts and disclaimers and even NDAs to some point, and a business operational level, I understand that there is certain sensitive information. That's my background as well. I come from like an intelligence background in the military, that certain material is just not to be disseminated. And I understand that in the business world as well. So they have to respect that. So as much as AI is a tool to be used to take out some of the mundane, the routine, the I don't know, is no longer an option with AI.
Sure.
You can ask any question and it will give you a response. It's up to you if you accept that response, but it will give you an answer.
Right.
So if I don't know, I can find out. And I think that's the mentality that, and the approach that we should have for these remote workers, to empower them to be the best of their ability. And they're going to bring their personality and the human element. The
Sure.
AI is it's not human. And, touch wood, we're not quite there yet with the taking over the human element, because that's what makes us us. So.
Right. No, I think I agree 100%. I think with the remote workforce that's out there and available, and I've interacted with some of them, and one of my good friends, Alberto, who's going to be one of our speakers, he's working with the group I told you about, LATAM Doers out of Mexico, and he's been so impressed that he now has hired somebody from LATAM Doers to be his virtual assistant, who controls his calendar and scheduling and booking appointments and doing other things. Doing LinkedIn for this event and other things that he does with his business.
Amazing.
And he's just so excited about it, because I brought him on board because he's incredibly smart. He's from Mexico. He lives in San Antonio for a while. Now he's in Austin, but good friend of mine, but just really smart, well-connected. He's got this outgoing personality, so you'll enjoy him as a speaker. He just he brings you in, and his topics are always just right on. But back to the BPO portion, he was when he learned about the opportunities, as juggling and wearing many hats, he thought, I'll just bring somebody on board and I'm going to do a beta test, especially since I'm going to be telling people about these BPOs, right? And so it's working
Right.
out. Like I talked to him Friday, but anyway, it's working out great for him. I'm pretty sure it'll be something that continues, because he sent an email to me and copied her in it. And again, she's not in his Austin office, she's in Mexico, but she sees his schedule, she knows when he's open, she knows how to book his appointments, knows how to run the social media ads that he wants run, what he's looking for on LinkedIn, so a lot of those posts that he was staying up till 1 a.m. to do on LinkedIn, now he's got someone else who can do it while he's at the same time doing something else for his business. So that's one example.
That's exactly it. So as you just said, those nights or mornings when he's up until 1 a.m.
Yes.
He's now diverting that energy and that battery, because we all have a battery level. That's a daily battery level, whether it's
100%.
social, energy, creative, business, personal, family. We've all got the levels, and
Right.
if it's sapping somewhere else, it's taking from others. But that's exactly it. So I'm glad that he found a balance and somebody who can help him out with that.
Yeah, 100%. So his topic. So he's a TEDx speaker. He also runs Disrupt HR in Houston, and he lines up the speakers for Disrupt HR Austin. I've been to their events, and just to share a little bit about Disrupt HR, it's obviously HR focused, but they up it a little bit. They bring in speakers. It's a networking event, but also a learning event, and these speakers come up, and it's 5 minutes. Your slides are timed. If you don't keep up with your slides, they keep going. They don't pause the PowerPoint for you.
Yeah.
So you got to be on point. Of course, they prep them. They do practice runs and all that. But it's pretty interesting because they do all these speakers, take a break. There's networking, obviously food and drinks. Something cool. The last one I went to in Austin, they had a drum circle there, so you could watch the drum circle, these professional drummers, or you can jump right in. Well, I jumped right in because anything where you can engage. I was there playing the drums. I had a great time, and there's that networking component that's so important, right? Networking when you're out there and meeting people is so important. Yes, LinkedIn's great and others, but I don't think there's anything to compare. Having a coffee with somebody, meeting somebody at a mixer, or I go to a lot of Bernie radio events, meeting somebody at a Bernie radio event, and then learning more about them and their business, and maybe how y'all can collaborate. And so there's that networking component, and then it goes back to the speakers again, and they get some great sponsors that put things together. So they do them, and he does the one in Houston as well. He lines up the speakers for Austin, but he runs the Houston one completely like it's his baby. And that was a fun one. It was at a historic brewery in Houston. So next time there's a Disrupt HR close by, I'll bring you with me so you can check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
I made some great contacts, some that are going to be coming to our event. So I'm just sharing a little bit about him and how realizing, I've got X amount of hours, like you said, the battery. And he's the night owl, but he's got to go to sleep sometime, right?
Yeah.
So bringing on that remote person was crucial to extend that. It gives him time to do the other things that he's always got the to-do list like we all do. That remote person can help. There's even we've talked to some staffing companies, and staffing companies, their job is to hire somebody for their client to fill a position. Well, some of those positions, and even now, some staffing companies struggle to find a qualified person to put in that office or that job, right? So some of these can also be remote. So we're talking to staffing companies, and I'm pretty sure we'll have some at the event, where if you have a solution and you need an assistant or a scheduler or somebody to book appointments or dispatch, logistics, dispatching trucks or tow trucks or 18-wheelers, that can be done from anywhere. And these virtual assistants can do that, and they can do it during the hours you need, or there's also a later shift. So we've shared that because a lot of people just aren't aware of what remote workforces can do for you. Right. So I think that component is going to be interesting. I'm real excited about the whole event, but since I'm kind of thirsty for the technology knowledge, I'm not the tech guru or the nerd that you are, but fortunately my son is, and he keeps me up to date. He's the one that introduced me to AI. So I'm excited about everything, but we have that tech day that'll be cool. And again, we'll have all the tech opportunities and exhibitors there too. Another speaker that we'll have is Adam Blanchard, and Adam has 2 logistic companies here in the area. He's kind of a serial entrepreneur. I think he has 5 or 6 businesses, and spent some time with them. And he's actually he's in South Africa right now. I helped him with a trip to South Africa.
Okay.
So he's actually there hanging out with some friends of mine and doing some cool stuff, and going to Kruger National Park. But it's funny how that all came about because he bid on an auction item that I did for an event, and now we're collaborating in business. And now he's a sponsor for our event. That's why I'm keen on the networking, So the networking in person is just crucial, I think.
Yeah.
I love getting online and networking. I had 2 meetings this morning. Both were international. I was on somebody who was in Mexico, and I was on a Microsoft Teams meeting with them, and then somebody in Belize. That's great because I didn't have to fly to Mexico, and they didn't have to fly here. But networking is so crucial, and I think you see that in what you do, to meeting people at these business events or networking events, connecting. I mean, that's how you and I met. It was through the thing at Don's Greenhouse, and now here we are. So
yeah, 100%. Because I think the more that we talk about technology and something that can do things for us, the more important it is to connect. Because online, like you said, you don't know whether that message is automated. You don't know whether that person is just blasting 3,000 messages to people. In person, you know that there's going to be one person. You're going to get a feel for their presence, their mannerisms, like their level of energy. And if it's somebody that you want to work with, you don't get that online because you don't get the delivery. You don't get the presence yet. So it's really important. And especially like this topic in technology and AI that I talk about, and I'm invested so much. Right. So much of learning is online. That's where all the learning takes place. But to then present that to other people who don't have the time, and that's something that I have to tell myself a lot, is that a lot of the people that I work with do not have the time available for them to research and jump into AI and automation and technology
Sure.
as much as I do. And that's a key difference in having somebody in your corner as a digital partner to help you understand that, because it's like a personal assistant. You have a dedicated set of eyes for a dedicated set of problems. And that's why there's jobs in businesses. Otherwise, there'd be one hat for everybody.
Yeah.
And there'd be, the hat sales wouldn't be so good. But that, yeah, I really enjoy the personal networking as well.
So, jumping back, I know we're going back and forth, but just something you said brought up a memory. So, Talaris is one of our partners in this event and,
Mm-hmm.
and other things, and I've been to a lot of their events, and their whole focus is bringing together different technology companies to provide those services to all types of business, small, mid-size, and large scale. They do huge projects. So I was really fortunate. They invited me to their AI and technology summit in Dallas. And yeah, it was an investment because I had to drive to Dallas. I had to get a hotel room.
Right.
But I learned so much about AI and technology. But what was really incredible was they had like a networking dinner the night before. Got to meet some incredible people, some that are going to be at our event now. And that networking, and then the next day sitting it was at the Thompson Hotel in Dallas, incredible ballroom. So we got to sit and listen to these amazing speakers. One of the speakers that I saw, I was several of them, I was blown away. But one of them that did her presentation on AI and did a live demonstration. She's now heading up our day 2. Her name's Sam Nelson, and she's with Talaris, and she's one of their VPs, and just excited to have her on board. But had I not networked with her and sat down and had some dessert and talked about what we're doing and what they're doing, and was just blown away by everything, that probably wouldn't have connected, right? We probably wouldn't have crossed paths otherwise had I not invested that time to go to an event in Dallas and do some networking. But the AI Summit and technology is important because it brought all that together. People learn. I learned. Again, I'm not a tech guy. I'm okay, but I'm not on your level, not on my son's level. But I appreciate and admire people that have that knowledge and background and are willing to share it and help others learn.
But it's all, yeah, I completely agree. And I think it all came from that original investment that you were willing to make to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make the point, because that's why I wanted to jump in there,
Sure.
was that, yes, everybody's on different levels of different expertise, but the curiosity still has to be there. You can be a small business owner with the same amount of curiosity as a prompt engineer from Google. It doesn't make, the levels are just different.
Right.
You're just in different roles, but you need the curiosity about tech and AI.
Sure.
And you're already 90% there.
Yeah.
I think that's really important because you made that journey to go and find out about AI, which made more connections. You met a lot of the people that are turning up to the Nexus Expo now.
Right.
Through that willingness to put yourself in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all business owners and employers have to do. They have to have a willingness to learn about AI and technology.
Yeah. I think also, people that are willing to take a risk not knowing, jumping out there with both feet, learning something new, or engaging with somebody you've never met and finding out, hey, this person has a lot. They bring a lot to the table. I know a lot of business owners that would love to hear from somebody that's has this expertise and this background. And I'm just looking at some of our speakers that we have. We have a speaker that's a good friend of mine who I've known for several years, Emma Faye Rudkin, and she founded a nonprofit called Aid the Silent. And nonprofits also struggle to hire people because I was a nonprofit exec for a long time, so I have a background in nonprofit.
Yeah.
But Emma Faye is from the deaf and hard of hearing community, and she's actually on the Governor's Council for People with Disabilities. She's an amazing young lady, incredibly smart and talented, and she's making a difference with her nonprofit, helping young kids get hearing aids and parents get classes and things that they wouldn't have if it weren't for Aid the Silent, because of that. So she's actually going to be one of our speakers on people with disabilities as a talent solution. And I think, a lot of times, especially as I've traveled different parts of the country and the world, I think America is more sensitive to that, but still there's businesses that don't realize somebody has a disability, but they have a lot of abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they bring a lot to the table. And so people will learn from Emma Faye Rudkin and with Aid to Silent what they, what abilities they can do, how they can be a great employee for your business. And so I'm dovetailing into that because I wanted to share that she's one of our speakers. I'm very happy. I support Aid to Silent. I donate and donate things to their. I donated something to their gala that Adam bid on, which is how we met, and they now have a business relationship. So, pretty amazing. It's funny how all that.
That's pretty full circle.
Yeah, it's real full circle. What are your thoughts on how? Let's focus on people that have different disabilities and are coming into the workforce. How can AI aid them, and then aid those? Like I said, nonprofits are always, oftentimes trying to find those qualified people to make a difference because they're delivering crucial mission, right? Aid the Silent is getting hearing aids for young kids that would never get them. The deaf community is one of the most underserved that there are, and so them delivering that mission, attracting employees. But can you speak a little bit, any thoughts you might have? And I know this is off the cuff, but
yeah.
Those people with disabilities coming into the workforce, what can AI do to help them come on board and contribute, whether it's in person or remotely? They're going to be in a setting working somewhere, but any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that first off, the mission is truly important to bring everybody fulfillment in work, regardless of abilities.
Right.
That's it. And I think where my mind first goes with AI is that it can just raise the standard of everybody. Like there's now a level of knowledge and learning out there with the accessibility to AI. And I don't think that anybody that has a disability classification shouldn't be just as curious to learn how that can be turned into a superpower. Right. And enhance those abilities, because it just comes to that curiosity to wanting to work. And I think that AI for people who have disabilities is allowing them to raise a standard through their curiosity. I think that's still lowering the barriers for them.
Sure.
In sense of that, so it's more of a confidence thing, because I know that it can be a label if there's a disability, but it's to not see it as a disability. It's to use the tools that are now available to everybody.
Sure.
Through AI, and I think that's just to help the nonprofits as well. They'll be able to research grants that they've never even looked for.
That's
like
a
for
great
searching,
point.
like going back to the perplexity things. It is such a simple search to say what grants and benefits are available in this state, at this district, with this person, and you will get an answer. That's how crazy it is. You're not let's just put it in. Let's just see what turns up. Have you heard of this grant? No, I've heard of the other 5, but what's this one? And that could be exactly like you said, the donation to the gala that turned into your friend putting a bid on, and now it's a business connection to yourself.
Right.
It goes full circle, and that one grant could change lives.
Yeah, 100%.
All from just asking the curiosity of AI to say, is there anything out there I have not got? Because my experience is 30 years in nonprofit, that's fine. Have you asked it this question? No. Then you don't know what you don't know.
My mind's just spinning now with that, because I've done grants and submitted those, and you're doing all this research and trying. Right. And when I was doing that stuff, AI wasn't out there yet, right? So
no, of course.
Yeah, but we're going to take a quick break and get right back to it here in a minute. This portion of the podcast is brought to you by mixconsulting.com. Mix can help you with your business consulting needs, setting up your business. We also have a team that can help you with your communications and technology services. Anything that is tech related, B2B for businesses, you name it, we have people that can provide that, and government relations as well. So check out mixconsulting.com. If you need help with your social media, we've got an incredible team that does social media and content creation at mixconsulting.com, 830-446-2100. Thanks. So the pain point that most employers, business owners experience obviously is retention and recruitment and keeping qualified people, identifying those qualified people. One thing that we are looking at and that we were going to bring to the table with our Nexus Expo workforce is remote options. We have BPOs, business process outsourcing companies, coming from different parts of the country in the U.S., but also Latin America. LATAM is near shore. There's a lot going on there. We have LATAM doers coming out of Mexico, a group out of Costa Rica as well, Belize. And so with these BPOs, obviously they need to leverage AI as well to expand and grow. Two of them that are coming that are near shore BPOs they're at capacity right now as far as their current footprint, where they have people staffed to do those jobs remotely. So they need to find creative ways of how to expand their footprint before they go and buy more real estate or rent more office space. And they also need to find qualified people to be those agents that are on the other end of that line when you call up someone's business that's using a BPO. And basically a BPO is an extension of your business. So when you call, if they're calling your business and they get somebody after hours near shore that's in Costa Rica or in Belize or in Jamaica, that person has been onboarded by you, they're qualified by you, they're an extension of your business and can answer those questions, they can book appointments. There's several things, you name it, they do insurance claims, they do banking, they do identity theft issues, identity fraud. There's a whole legal vertical. Any vertical that's out there, there's BPOs that service those clients that have those needs, because again, they struggle to find those qualified people, or it's just another resource. So how with your background and maybe knowing a little bit about how BPOs work, and we'll have the BPOs represented at our event, what could you speak to where there's the challenges a BPO is having? How can they incorporate AI or leverage AI if they haven't done so to improve what they're doing with their business model? And basically these are different agents. There's agents in seats in a call center, but these are more white gloved. It's not just like a call center that we sometimes get and you get frustrated. These are actually, their whole point is that agent is focused on your business, and you go through the process of picking that agent and vetting them and bring them on board to your company. Yeah, I believe there's great opportunities for nonprofit. I know what it's like researching and finding grants and making the requirements, and there could be grants you're missing that are out there that you don't know about that AI can help you discover. So that's some great insight and something that can help empower those nonprofits get exposure and more funding opportunities, because they rely on their donors and they rely on corporate donors, individual donors, and then the grants are a big portion as well of how they continue to operate and deliver mission that's so crucial to their clients and serving the community. So thanks for sharing that.
No, agreed. Any little help. Like, what I know is not what everybody knows, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that know stuff that I don't know. Yeah. But AI is now just taking the low-hanging fruit, and it's just having the curiosity to ask the questions. That there's no such thing as a stupid question anymore with AI, because it'll give you an answer. It's not going to say that's a stupid question. It'll just give you an answer.
Exactly.
So we should just all raise the bar and ask questions.
Right. Yeah. And I think we touched on how people with disabilities can incorporate that as well. I think there's no intimidation factor. There's people think it's big and scary. There's some fear, but really there's not. I mean, you're not going to break anything. You're using AI to learn and help leverage your time and your skills and develop things and add it to your repertoire and what you can do.
Exactly that. Yeah. So it's exciting times, and I think a lot of people should not be afraid of it and use it as a tool. That's it. It's not there to replace you. It's there as a tool to enhance what you want to do. So.
Something else I wanted to share for our Nexus Workforce Expo that's coming up August 25th and 26th. So America's SBDC, Texas Southwest, has come on board and partnered with us. Really excited about that, to have the SBDC. I've went to a lot of their classes and workshops and online webinars, learn a lot. So they're there to support businesses and small businesses, and most of what they do is no cost to the business owners that attend it or somebody that's just looking to start a business. So we're grateful that SBDC from Texas Southwest is going to be there. We also have a couple speakers that are lined up, and those are on our website at nexusexposa.com. Really excited. UTSA, which is a university, pretty big university in San Antonio, their International Trade Center has partnered with us, and so they're going to be out there as exhibitors and speakers. So we've got some great partners coming on board. Really grateful to Telarus because they are connecting us, and I go to a lot of their training events that they put on, again, in the technology arena and what they do. And so I'm actually going to meet with some Telarus folks on the 18th. I'll be going to Austin, and one of our exhibitors, and is also a sponsor, LATAM Doers, Fernando, is hosting an event. It's a networking event in Austin. So I'll get to meet up with some folks from Telarus and spend some time with them, and who knows what will come of that. So there's so many opportunities out there to network and do some cool things. And next time there's an opportunity like that, I know you have another commitment, but I'll make sure to keep throwing stuff out to you so you can get plugged in. But who we have from the SBDC, Deidre Patillo is going to be there speaking, and she's with the Texas Southwest SBDC. She works on the networking side and also government contracts as well. A lot of things that small businesses need help getting, right? And then we have Richard Rain is a senior national business advisor at UTSA International Trade Center, so he'll be one of the speakers as well. And just want to make sure people are excited and they know what's happening with our expo. As we're getting ready to wind down and hit some key points, some takeaways for me, what you've shared is using AI in a whole different way, leveraging AI and there's no barrier. The entry barriers, those barriers are broken down. Everybody has access. They can employ that. Since we're on the Workforce Solutions, the Workforce of the Future podcast, what would be 3 points you would share to those looking how they can enhance their workforce and grow their workforce and get those qualified people? If you want to share your top 3 points.
So I think that the 3 points that a business can get from using AI and leveraging it right now is to encourage people to ask questions in your business about AI, using AI, how it can become part of the business if it's not already in there. Secondly, it's to encourage people to break your systems, your processes about the hiring, the retention, and any issues that you're currently facing. AI can have an answer for you. It's just one question away. Right now, there's too many tools out there, like we mentioned, Perplexity, OpenAI, Claude, Mistral, Anthropic. The list goes on and on. I'm just reeling things that people may never have heard of, but these are all these LLMs and AIs that people can use to just ask questions and get results or answers, and then the rabbit hole really begins. So you need to strap in. Once you ask a question, you
buckle
go,
up.
What have I done? So the time you're saving with a personal assistant, you're now wasting in AI because you're down a rabbit hole. But it's there for the benefit.
Yeah.
It's a beneficial rabbit hole if they exist. And then thirdly, it's to not be afraid of it. It's a tool.
Right.
I'm sure I've mentioned this through the podcast several times. It's a tool not to replace. It's a tool to enhance. So if it does replace the data entry, if it does replace the mundane, non-creative tasks of your business, then it is there for a reason. And know that other businesses are already doing that.
Yeah.
And you can use your employees to be creative and solve problems that AI can't solve yet. And I think that's an important part of why AI is here as a tool to help us raise the standard.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. Well, fantastic. So if you're not leveraging AI for your business, you need to do that now. I'm Jacques DeBose, so you can find more about what we do at mixconsulting.com, and you can also check out nexussaexpo.com to learn more about our expo August 25th and 26th. I want to thank Craig Davies for being us with here, Davies Digital Solutions, and we'll see you on the next one.